The message arrived on a Tuesday morning at exactly 0947 Earth Standard Time. Ambassador Jin Woo sat in his office on the 42nd floor of the United Earth Diplomatic Center, watching the rain fall on the city below. The holographic display flickered to life above his desk, showing the official seal of the Galactic Council. Jin Woo had been Earth's primary ambassador to the galaxy for 12 years. He had seen many strange things in that time. But this message was different. It carried the weight of 300 years of galactic tradition. To the representatives of Earth, the message began in perfect English translation. You are hereby invited to attend the Tricentennial Peace Conference. This gathering occurs once every 300 years and brings together all major civilizations in our galaxy. The conference will take place on Nexus Prime Station in the neutral zone. Jin Woo leaned back in his chair and continued reading. The invitation looked normal at first. It talked about peace, trade agreements, and settling disputes between different worlds. Standard diplomatic language that he had seen hundreds of times before. Then he reached the important part. All participating civilizations must send both diplomatic representatives and military leadership. This requirement cannot be waived. Military representatives will participate in strategic discussions regarding territorial boundaries, resource allocation, and defense agreements. Jin Woo set down his coffee cup and read that section again. Military representatives were required, not optional, required. He pressed the communication button on his desk. Ki-jun, please come to my office immediately. Ki-jun was Earth's Secretary of Interstellar Affairs. She was also Jin Woo's oldest friend and the smartest person he knew. When she arrived 5 minutes later, Jin Woo handed her the invitation without saying a word. Ki-jun read it carefully. Her expression changed when she reached the military requirement section. This is unusual, she said. Most peace conferences try to keep military leaders away from the negotiating table. Exactly, Jin Woo replied. But look at who else is attending. He activated another holographic display showing the list of confirmed attendees. The Vorthak Empire would send 3 of their most feared generals. The hegemony was bringing their entire high command. The Stellar Commonwealth had already announced they would bring their legendary Admiral Krex, the hero of the Siege of Altair. Every major power in the galaxy was sending their best military minds. They want to make this about strength, Ki-jun observed. Show off their weapons, their fleets, their generals. Make sure everyone knows who has the bigger stick. Jin Woo nodded. The question is, what do we do about it? Ki-jun sat down across from his desk. We have good military leaders. General Park commands respect throughout the Earth Defense Corps. Admiral Chen has experience with alien technology. We could send them. We could, Jin Woo agreed. But should we? They sat in silence for several minutes, both thinking. Outside, the rain continued to fall. Earth looked so peaceful from up here. It was hard to imagine that somewhere among the stars, alien civilizations were preparing for what might be the most important military gathering in galactic history. What are you thinking? Ki-jun asked. Jin Woo stood up and walked to the window. I'm thinking about chess, he said. Do you remember when we were children and you taught me to play? Of course. You were terrible at first. Jin Woo smiled. I was, but you taught me something important. Sometimes the best move is the one your opponent doesn't expect. Ki-jun joined him at the window. You want to surprise them. I want to send only diplomatic personnel, Jin Woo said quietly. No military representatives at all. Ki-jun stared at him. That's impossible. The invitation specifically requires military leadership. It requires us to send representatives. It doesn't say those representatives have to be in uniform. Jin Woo, they'll think we're weak, or stupid, or both. Maybe, Jin Woo said, or maybe they'll underestimate us. The next morning, Jin Woo called a meeting with Earth's top diplomatic team. Subin, the lead xenopolitical analyst, arrived first. She was young but brilliant, with a talent for understanding alien psychology that amazed even experienced ambassadors. "You've all seen the invitation," Jinwoo began. "I want your honest opinions about our response." Subin spoke first. "Every analysis we've done suggests this conference is really about showing military strength. The peace talks are just an excuse. The real business will happen when the generals and admirals start making deals." "And if we don't send military representatives?" Jinwoo asked. "They'll see us as irrelevant," replied Dongwoo, the senior trade negotiator. "We'll be shut out of the important discussions. They might even see it as an insult," added Hyejin, who specialized in alien cultural protocols. "Some species interpret the absence of military representation as a sign that we don't take them seriously." Jinwoo listened to all their concerns. They were valid points. Earth was still relatively new to galactic politics. They couldn't afford to alienate powerful civilizations, but something in his gut told him that following the expected path would be a mistake. "I appreciate all your input," he said finally, "but I've made my decision. We're sending only civilian negotiators." The room fell silent. Subin was the first to speak. "Sir, with respect, this could be a disaster for Earth's standing in the galaxy. Or it could be exactly what we need," Jinwoo replied. "Trust me on this one." 3 days later, Jinwoo sent Earth's official response to the Galactic Council. They would attend the Tricentennial Peace Conference with a full diplomatic team. No military personnel would accompany the delegation. The response from other civilizations was swift and predictable. The Vorthak ambassador sent a message expressing surprise at Earth's unusual decision. The hegemony's diplomatic corps questioned whether humans truly understood the nature of the conference. Most telling was the message from Admiral Krex of the Stellar Commonwealth. Perhaps the humans need more time to develop before participating in serious galactic affairs. Hyejin brought Jinwoo these responses with a worried expression. "They're all saying the same thing," she reported. "We're either too naive to understand what's happening or too weak to matter." Jinwoo read through the messages carefully. Each one contained the same underlying assumption. Earth was making a mistake born of inexperience or weakness. "Perfect," he said. "Perfect?" Hyejin looked confused. "They're underestimating us before we even arrive," Jinwoo explained. "That gives us an advantage." "What advantage?" "They think we're irrelevant." Jinwoo smiled. "Sometimes being underestimated is the greatest weapon you can have." 2 weeks before the conference, Jinwoo received a secure communication from Earth's Strategic Assessment Division. Tae-min, the director, appeared on the holographic display with his usual serious expression. "Ambassador, I wanted to brief you on current galactic military movements," Tae-min said. "Every major power is positioning fleets near Nexus Prime Station. They're treating this conference like a military exercise?" "Are we ready?" Jinwoo asked. Taemin's expression didn't change, but Jinwoo caught a hint of satisfaction in his voice. "We've been ready for longer than they realize." The final week. Before departure passed quickly, Jinwoo reviewed diplomatic files, studied alien cultural customs, and prepared for what might be the most challenging negotiation of his career. On the last day before leaving Earth, he stood in his office one final time, looking out at the peaceful city below. Somewhere among the stars, alien generals were probably planning how to divide up the galaxy among themselves. They thought Earth was too weak to stop them. They had no idea how wrong they were. General Thakmor stood before the massive war table in the command center of the Vorthak home world. The holographic display showed detailed star maps of the entire galaxy, with particular focus on human territory. Red markers indicated Earth's known military installations, which seemed pitifully small compared to other galactic powers. "Tell me about the humans again," Thakmor ordered his intelligence chief. Commander Veltar activated a new display showing Earth's military history. They have been in space for less than 200 years. Their largest ships are barely 1 kilometer long. They have never fought a major war against any established galactic power. Thakmor studied the data with growing satisfaction. The humans had a few dozen ships scattered across their small territory. Their weapons technology appeared to be at least 50 years behind Vorthak standards. Most importantly, they had never demonstrated any ability to project military power beyond their own solar system. "What about their planet?" Thakmor asked. "Earth itself has minimal orbital defenses," Veltar replied. "A single Vorthak battle fleet could overwhelm their entire home system defense grid within hours." The other generals around the table nodded in agreement. The humans were clearly not a serious military threat. This made their decision to attend the peace conference without military representation even more puzzling. "Perhaps they know they are weak," suggested General Mordak. "They send only diplomats because they have nothing else to offer. Or they hope to hide behind stronger allies," added General Kexthul. "Some species might protect them out of pity." Thakmor walked around the holographic display, studying Earth's territory from different angles. "Either way, this gives us an opportunity. If the humans cannot defend themselves, they have no right to the resources in their territory." The Vorthak had been eyeing several systems on the border of human space for decades, rich in rare minerals and perfectly positioned. For military bases, these systems would be valuable additions to the Empire. With humans too weak to object, the peace conference might be the perfect time to claim them. Across the galaxy, Admiral Zexalane was conducting her own analysis in the hegemony's primary intelligence facility. The massive computers processed thousands of data points about human military capabilities, or lack thereof. "Show me their fleet composition," she ordered. The display revealed Earth's space forces in detail. They had exactly 47 warships of various sizes. The largest was their flagship, a vessel they called the Enterprise, which was only 1.2 kilometers long. By hegemony standards, it would be classified as a light cruiser at best. "Weapons analysis?" Zexalane inquired. "Primitive kinetic weapons and basic energy shields," reported her tactical advisor. "No quantum disruptors, no plasma cannons, no gravitic mines. Their most advanced weapon appears to be something they call a rail gun, which fires metal projectiles using magnetic acceleration." Zexalane almost laughed. Railguns had been obsolete in the hegemony for over 3 centuries. "What about their strategic capabilities?" "They have no long-range scanning networks beyond their own system, no deep space monitoring stations, no early warning systems for detecting enemy fleet movements. If we wanted to attack them, they would never see us coming." This confirmed what Zexalane had suspected. The humans were not just weak, they were strategically blind. They could not see threats coming from more than a few light years away. Any civilization with proper military planning could defeat them easily. "Admiral," her advisor continued, "there is one thing that puzzles our analysts." "What?" "The humans claim to have colonized 17 star systems, but our long-range sensors can only confirm active settlements in 12 of them. We're not sure what happened to the other 5. Zexalane shrugged. "Probably failed colonies. Humans are new to space travel. They probably tried to establish settlements beyond their capabilities and had to abandon them." Meanwhile, on Earth, Taemin sat in a conference room deep beneath the surface of the planet. The Strategic Assessment Division operated from this underground facility, hidden from even most of Earth's own government. Massive screens displayed real-time intelligence data from across the galaxy. "Status report," Taemin ordered. So Young, his deputy, activated the main display. "All major powers are conducting intelligence assessments of Earth's military capabilities. The Vorthak spent 6 hours yesterday analyzing our ship specifications. The hegemony has been scanning our territory with long-range sensors for the past month." "And what are they finding?" "Exactly what we want them to find," So Young replied with satisfaction. "Limited fleet strength, outdated weapons, minimal defensive installations. Every scan confirms that Earth is militarily insignificant." Taemin nodded approvingly. "What about the surveillance network?" "Operating perfectly. Ghost Station 7 detected a Vorthak reconnaissance probe near the Kepler system yesterday. The probe spent 3 hours scanning for human military installations and found nothing. Because there was nothing to find there, Taemin observed. Exactly. All our real installations remain completely undetected. So Young activated another display showing the locations of alien intelligence gathering operations. The Vorthak had 6 different spy ships positioned around human territory. The hegemony had infiltrated human communication networks and was monitoring civilian traffic. 3 smaller powers were also conducting surveillance operations. They're all reaching the same conclusions, So Young reported. Earth is weak, primitive, and poses no military threat to anyone. Taemin walked over to a window that looked out onto the main operations floor. Hundreds of technicians monitored displays showing real-time data from across the galaxy. Every major fleet movement, every military exercise, every secret weapon test was being tracked and recorded. Director, So Young said carefully, some of the junior analysts are concerned about our strategy. They think we're allowing too much underestimation. What if the other powers become so confident that they decide to attack Earth directly? Taemin turned back to his deputy. Do you know why we've never been attacked despite appearing so weak? No, sir. Because attacking a species during a galactic peace conference would violate every treaty in known space. The other powers would unite against any aggressor immediately. Our apparent weakness is actually our protection. So Young considered this. And after the conference? After the conference, they'll know better than to attack us, Taemin said with quiet confidence. Back on the Vorthak homeworld, General Thakmor was finalizing his strategy for the peace conference. His plan was simple but effective. Demand territorial concessions from the humans in exchange for Vorthak protection. Since Earth had no military power to object, they would have to accept whatever terms he offered. Prepare a list of demands, he ordered his staff. The 3 systems bordering our territory, plus mining rights in the asteroid belt near Earth's outer colonies, make it clear that these are non-negotiable terms. What if the humans refuse? Asked Commander Veltar. Then we remind them that they are alone in a dangerous galaxy, Thakmor replied. Without military protection, their colonies are vulnerable to any power that wants to take them. The Vorthak Military Command began preparing for what they expected to be an easy victory. At the peace conference, humans had no allies strong enough to protect them, no military force to threaten retaliation, and no strategic importance that would make other powers want to defend them. Admiral Zexalane was developing a similar strategy for the hegemony. Her intelligence report suggested that humans controlled several systems rich in rare elements needed for advanced technology. Since they lacked the military power to defend these resources, the hegemony could simply claim them through diplomatic pressure. The humans will protest, of course, she told her strategic planning committee. But protests from the weak carry no weight in galactic politics. Power respects only power. Neither the Vorthak nor the hegemony realized that their intelligence-gathering operations were being monitored in real time. Every scan of human territory, every analysis of Earth's military capabilities, every strategic planning session was recorded and transmitted to the underground facility where Taemin worked. They're both planning to make territorial demands, So Young reported during the daily intelligence briefing. The Vorthak want 3 border systems. The hegemony wants mining rights throughout human space. Let them plan, Taemin replied calmly. Confidence makes people careless. 2 weeks before the peace conference, reports began arriving from human colonies throughout the galaxy. The messages were identical. Alien ships had been detected conducting surveillance operations near human settlements. The ships maintained safe distances and never approached close enough to be considered threatening, but they were clearly gathering intelligence. So Young brought these reports to Taemin's attention. Every major power has sent reconnaissance missions to human territory in the past month. They're all trying to confirm their intelligence assessments before the conference. And what are they confirming? That humans are exactly as weak as they thought? So Young said. Our colonies appear to have minimal defenses. Our trade routes are unprotected. Our communication networks seem primitive and easily intercepted. Taman smiled. Perfect. The more confident they become, the bigger their surprise will be. Nexus Prime Station hung in space like a massive metal flower, its 5 arms stretching out from a central hub. Each arm was 3 kilometers long and housed the delegations from different regions of the galaxy. The station had been built specifically for diplomatic meetings, designed to be neutral territory where no single power could claim advantage. Minho stood at the observation deck of the Earth delegation's quarters, watching ships arrive from across the galaxy. The Vorthak fleet approached first. 12 massive dreadnoughts that looked like floating weapons platforms. Each ship was over 2 kilometers long and bristled with weapon systems that could destroy entire planets. Impressive display, commented Yunji, joining him at the viewing port. As Earth's chief diplomatic negotiator, she had studied every alien civilization for decades, but seeing their military power in person was still shocking. They want us to be impressed, Minho replied, and probably intimidated. The hegemony fleet arrived next, their ships sleek and elegant compared to the brutal Vorthak designs. But Minho could see the weapon ports hidden beneath their smooth hulls. These ships were just as deadly as the Vorthak dreadnoughts, just more subtle about it. Behind them came smaller fleets from dozens of other civilizations. The Stellar Commonwealth brought 3 of their famous star destroyers. The Krellin Empire displayed their new quantum phase cruisers. Even minor powers like the Zephyrian Alliance brought ships that dwarfed anything in Earth's official fleet. Count them, Yunji said quietly. Minho activated his portable scanner and began tallying the assembled fleets. 247 warships, he reported. Combined firepower could probably destroy several star systems. And Earth brought? Our transport ship and 2 escort frigates. Minho smiled grimly. I think we're outgunned. The opening ceremony took place in the Grand Assembly Hall at the center of the station. Representatives from 83 different civilizations gathered in a vast, circular chamber designed to accommodate many different alien physiologies. The humans sat in a section reserved for smaller delegations, surrounded by species they had only read about in diplomatic reports. Consul Varthek of the Vorthak Empire stood to address the assembly. He was nearly 3 meters tall, with thick armor plating covering his entire body. When he spoke, his voice boomed across the chamber. Welcome to the Tricentennial Peace Conference, he began. For 300 years, this gathering has maintained stability in our galaxy through strength and mutual respect. He gestured toward the viewing ports where the assembled fleets were visible. Each civilization here demonstrates their commitment to peace by showing their power to wage war. Only those strong enough to threaten their neighbors can truly guarantee peace. Murmurs of agreement echoed throughout the chamber. This was the traditional philosophy of galactic politics. Peace through strength, backed by the threat of mutual destruction. Varthek's gaze swept across the assembly and stopped at the human delegation. However, we noticed that some participants have chosen not to demonstrate their military capabilities. Perhaps they believe diplomacy alone can resolve all disputes. Several alien delegates laughed openly. General Crix of the Stellar Defense Corps spoke loudly enough for everyone to hear. Some species apparently don't understand how real galactic politics work. Minho felt every eye in the chamber turning toward the human delegation. Yunji remained perfectly calm, but he could see the tension in her shoulders. They were being publicly mocked in front of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. Earth appreciates the opportunity to participate in these important discussions, Minho said, standing to address the assembly. We believe all disputes can be resolved through dialogue and mutual understanding. The laughter grew louder. Admiral Krex of the Stellar Commonwealth shook his massive head. Dialogue without strength is just noise, he declared. Who takes seriously the words of those who cannot back them with action? Perhaps the humans need more time to develop before joining serious galactic affairs, added Admiral Zexalane of the Hegemony. Her tone was condescending, like an adult explaining something obvious to a child. The first day of official negotiations began immediately after the opening ceremony. The major powers presented their positions on territorial disputes, resource allocation, and defense agreements. Each presentation was backed by detailed displays of military strength and strategic capabilities. The Vorthak demanded exclusive control over 3 contested star systems, supporting their claim by demonstrating their ability to deploy overwhelming force to any location within 50 light-years. General Thakmor showed tactical simulations of how his fleets could occupy all 3 systems simultaneously. "These systems fall naturally within our sphere of influence," he announced. "Any challenge to our claim would result in immediate military response." The Hegemony countered with their own territorial demands, backed by displays of their advanced quantum phase technology. Admiral Zexalane demonstrated how their ships could appear anywhere in the galaxy within hours, making traditional defensive strategies obsolete. "The future belongs to those who master space and time," she declared. "Outdated thinking leads to obsolete civilizations." Smaller powers made their own presentations, each trying to stake claims based on their military capabilities. The Krellin Empire displayed their new planet-killer weapons. The Zephyrian Alliance showed off their fleet of invisible ships. The Andromedans demonstrated weapons that could destroy stars. Through it all, the human delegation sat quietly and listened. They took notes, asked polite questions, and made no territorial demands of their own. To the assembled alien powers, they appeared completely out of their depth. During a break in negotiations, Ambassador Yoon from Earth approached several alien delegates in the corridor outside the assembly hall. He was a small, quiet man who had said almost nothing during the formal sessions. "Fascinating presentations today," he commented to General Thakmor. "The Vorthak military is clearly very impressive." Thakmor looked down at the human with amusement. "Your species seems to have much to learn about galactic realities," he replied. "Perhaps you would benefit from Vorthak protection in exchange for certain territorial concessions." "That's very generous," Yoon said politely. "What kind of concessions did you have in mind?" "The 3 systems bordering our territory would be a fair price for our protection," Thakmor replied. "Without military strength, your colonies are vulnerable to any power that wants to take them." Yoon nodded thoughtfully. "I'll certainly discuss that with my colleagues." Similar conversations took place throughout the day. Every major power approached the humans with offers of protection in exchange for territory, resources, or trade agreements. The underlying message was always the same. Earth was too weak to survive alone in a dangerous galaxy. That evening, the human delegation met in their private quarters to discuss the day's events. The mood was tense as they reviewed the various demands and threats that had been made. "The Vorthak want 3 systems," Yunji reported. "The Hegemony wants mining rights throughout our territory. The Stellar Commonwealth suggests we need their protection from pirates and raiders. Everyone assumes we're helpless," added diplomatic aide Jongsu. "They're not even trying to hide their contempt." Minho activated a secure communication link to Earth. "Perhaps it's time to contact home," he suggested. The holographic image of Ambassador Jin Woo appeared in the center of the room. He listened calmly as his team reported on the day's negotiations and the various territorial demands being made. "Are you ready?" Jin Woo asked quietly. Minho glanced at his colleagues. They had all known this moment would come eventually. The facade of weakness could only be maintained for so long. "The Vorthak and Hegemony are positioning their fleets aggressively," Yoon-ji reported. "Intelligence suggests they're prepared to enforce their demands with military action if necessary. Several smaller powers are forming alliances against us," added Jong-soo. "They think Earth will be forced to make concessions to everyone." Jinwoo nodded. Then it's time they learned the truth. Contact the Strategic Assessment Division. Tell them we need a full demonstration. The next morning, tension in the assembly hall was palpable. Word had spread that the human delegation planned to make some kind of announcement. Most alien delegates expected Earth to formally accept the various territorial demands that had been made. General Thakmore was particularly confident. His intelligence reports confirmed that Earth had no military assets within 100 light-years of Nexus Prime Station. Even if the humans wanted to resist, they had no way to back up their words with force. Today, we will see if these humans understand reality, he told his aide. If they accept our reasonable demands, we can avoid unnecessary conflict. Admiral Zexalane was equally certain of the outcome. Her analysts had confirmed that Earth's entire space fleet consisted of fewer than 50 ships, none of which posed any threat to hegemony forces. The humans will submit, she predicted. They have no choice. Ambassador Yoon stood to address the assembly, his expression calm and diplomatic. Honored delegates, he began, Earth has listened carefully to all proposals made during these negotiations. Before we respond, we would like to share some information that may be relevant to future discussions. The silence in the assembly hall was complete. Every alien delegate stared at the holographic displays showing impossible detail about their own military forces. The data included ship positions that were supposed to be classified, weapon specifications that were military secrets, and fleet movements that had happened only hours ago. General Thakmore was the first to find his voice. "This is impossible," he growled. "No species has surveillance capabilities across the entire galaxy." Ambassador Yoon smiled politely. "We understand your surprise. Earth has developed certain technologies that may not be widely known." Admiral Zexalane leaned forward in her seat, studying the display showing hegemony fleet positions. Every ship was marked correctly, including 3 stealth vessels that were supposed to be completely undetectable. "How long have you been watching us?" "Since our first contact with galactic civilization," Yoon replied calmly. "We found it useful to stay informed about our neighbors' activities. The implications hit the alien delegates like a physical blow. Earth had been monitoring everyone for decades without being detected. The species they had dismissed as primitive and weak possessed surveillance technology that surpassed anything in known space. Consul Varthek of the Vorthak Empire stood abruptly. "You claim to monitor our fleets, but where are your ships? Where are your bases? Our scanners have found nothing." "Perhaps your scanners aren't as advanced as you believed," Yoon suggested gently. The communication device in Yoon's hand activated, and a new holographic figure appeared beside him. Captain Dong Hyun of the Earth Defense Corps was a woman in her 50s with calm eyes and a professional demeanor that somehow made her more intimidating than any alien general. "Good morning, honored delegates," she said in perfect galactic standard. "I'm here to answer any questions about Earth's surveillance capabilities." General Crix of the Stellar Commonwealth leaned forward aggressively. "If you have such advanced technology, why haven't we seen any evidence of it?" "Because we designed it to be invisible," Dong Hyun replied. "Our monitoring stations use advanced stealth technology that makes them undetectable to conventional sensors. Our reconnaissance ships employ quantum phase shifting that allows them to observe without being observed." She gestured to the displays around the hall. "Every major fleet movement in the galaxy has been tracked and recorded. Every military exercise has been monitored. Every new weapon test has been analyzed." Admiral Crex's massive frame tensed with anger. "You're claiming you've been spying on every civilization in the galaxy?" "We prefer the term maintaining situational awareness," Dong Hyun said diplomatically. "In a galaxy full of species who measure strength by their ability to destroy others, information becomes the most valuable defense." The displays changed to show detailed specifications of alien weapon systems: Vorthak plasma cannons, hegemony, quantum disruptors, stellar Commonwealth star destroyers. Everything was laid out in technical detail that should have been impossible for outsiders to obtain. This data was gathered through passive observation, Dong-hyun explained. We've never interfered with any civilization's internal affairs or stolen classified information. We simply watched and learned. General Thakmore's armor plates rattled with fury. Watching without permission is still an act of aggression. Is it? Yoon asked mildly. Every species here has sent reconnaissance missions into human territory. Over the past month, were those acts of aggression? The Vorthak general fell silent. He could hardly complain about surveillance when his own intelligence services had been conducting the same activities. Admiral Zexlane studied the technical displays more carefully. Some of this information could only be obtained through direct observation during combat exercises. You would need ships present at classified military operations. We've been present at many classified operations, Dong-hyun confirmed. Your security protocols assume that any undetected observers would use technology similar to your own. Our stealth systems operate on entirely different principles. The horror of the situation began to sink in for the alien delegates. Earth had been watching them for decades, learning their secrets, studying their weaknesses, and they had never known. The species they had dismissed as primitive possessed technology that made their own surveillance systems look like toys. Show them. The Kepler incident, Yoon said quietly. The displays changed to show sensor recordings from 6 months ago. A Vorthak fleet had conducted a secret military exercise in an empty star system, testing new weapons that were supposed to be unknown to any other civilization. The recording showed the entire exercise from multiple angles, with perfect clarity and detail. We observed this exercise from a distance of 50,000 kilometers, Dong-hyun explained. Our ship remained undetected throughout the entire operation. General Thakmore stared at the recordings in shock. Impossible. We scanned that entire system. Nothing was there. Your scans were correct, Dong-hyun said. From your perspective, nothing was there. Our ship existed in quantum phase space during the observation period. Quantum phase space is theoretical, protested Admiral Zexlane. No civilization has mastered that technology. No known civilization, Dong-hyun corrected gently. The implications were staggering. If Earth could phase ships in and out of normal space, they could observe anyone, anywhere, at any time. No military secret was safe, no strategic planning could remain hidden. Admiral Krex leaned back in his chair, his expression thoughtful rather than angry. How many ships do you really have? Fewer than you think, Dong-hyun replied, but more than you've seen. That's not an answer. It's the only answer you're going to get, she said with a slight smile. Let's just say that our actual military capabilities are somewhat different from what your intelligence services have reported. Another voice joined the conversation as a new holographic figure appeared. General Woo Jin of Earth Strategic Command was younger than Captain Dong-hyun, but carried himself with the confidence of someone accustomed to being the smartest person in the room. I apologize for joining late, he said. I was reviewing our analysis of current galactic tensions. Analysis? Consul Varthek demanded. What analysis? We've been running predictive models on potential conflict scenarios for several years, Woo Jin explained casually. It's amazing how accurately you can predict military behavior when you have complete information about force deployments and strategic planning. He activated a new display showing a complex web of relationships between different alien civilizations. Potential flashpoints were marked in red, with probability percentages for various conflict scenarios. For example, he continued, our models predict a 73% chance of armed conflict between the Vorthak Empire and the Stellar Commonwealth within the next 2 years, triggered by territorial disputes in the Outer Rim. Both General Thakmore and Admiral Krex stared at the display. The prediction was based on military movements and strategic decisions that were supposed to be classified information. The hegemony has a 61% chance of initiating military Action against the Krellin Empire within 18 months, Wu Jin continued. The trigger will likely be competition for quantum crystal mining rights in the Andromedus sector. Admiral Zexalane's face had gone pale. The hegemony's plans for the Krellin systems were among their most closely guarded secrets. We've run similar analyses for every major power, Wu Jin said. The galaxy is heading toward multiple simultaneous conflicts unless something changes the current trajectory. And what do you suggest should change? Asked Ambassador Krex, his voice carefully controlled. The current system of peace through strength has reached its limits, Yoon replied. When every civilization has weapons capable of destroying worlds, mutual deterrence becomes mutual destruction waiting to happen. The alien delegates sat in stunned silence, processing what they had learned. Earth possessed surveillance capabilities that made every other species vulnerable. They had been monitoring galactic military activities for decades, learning secrets and predicting conflicts with frightening accuracy. What do you want? General Thakmor asked finally. Peace, Yoon said simply. Real peace, not just the temporary. Absence of war. And how do you propose to achieve that? Admiral Zexalane demanded. Yoon smiled. By making sure everyone knows what everyone else is doing. It's very difficult to start a war when your enemy knows your plans before you do. The full scope of Earth's proposal began to dawn on the assembled delegates. Humanity was offering to share their surveillance technology, creating a galaxy-wide monitoring system that would make surprise attacks impossible. You're talking about the end of military secrecy, Admiral Krex observed. We're talking about the end of military surprises, Yoon corrected. Secrecy breeds suspicion. Transparency creates trust. General Wu Jin stepped forward. Consider this. How many wars in galactic history started because one side misunderstood the other's intentions? How many conflicts escalated because leaders made decisions based on incomplete information? The alien delegates exchanged glances. Every species in the galaxy had fought wars that could have been avoided with better communication and understanding. Our proposal is simple, Yoon continued. A mutual monitoring system where all civilizations agree to transparency in military movements. No more secret weapon developments. Admiral Daoun materialized in the center of the assembly hall as the newest holographic projection. Unlike the previous Earth representatives who had appeared calm and diplomatic, she carried herself with the unmistakable bearing of someone who had commanded fleets in actual combat. Her presence changed the entire atmosphere of the room. Honored delegates, she began, her voice carrying across the vast chamber with quiet authority. I am Admiral Daoun, commanding officer of Earth's Strategic Defense Initiative. I've been asked to address some questions about our military doctrine. General Thakmor leaned forward aggressively. Your previous speakers claimed that Earth has been monitoring all galactic military activities. If this is true, show us proof that cannot be fabricated. Da-Yun nodded calmly. Very well. 3 days ago, the Vorthak Third Fleet conducted a classified exercise in the Rigel system. The exercise tested a new type of quantum torpedo that your scientists believe can penetrate any known shield technology. Thakmor's armor plates clicked together in surprise. The Rigel exercise was among the Vorthak Empire's most closely guarded secrets. During the exercise, Da-Un continued, your flagship fired 17 test torpedoes at an abandoned space station. The first 12 failed to achieve proper quantum phase alignment. The 13th successfully penetrated the target's shields but detonated prematurely. Torpedoes 14 through 17 functioned correctly and completely destroyed the target. The Vorthak general stared at her in shock. Those details were known only to his immediate command staff and the weapons engineers who conducted the test. Your scientists concluded that the torpedoes need an additional 2.3 seconds of phase alignment time to achieve consistent results, Da-Un added. They plan to conduct follow-up tests next month using modified targeting systems. How could you possibly know that? Thakmor demanded. Because we were watching, Da-Yun replied simply. Our observation ship recorded the entire exercise from a distance of 30,000 kilometers. Your sensors never detected our presence. She gestured, and the displays around the hall changed to show actual sensor recordings of the Vorthak weapons test. The images were crystal clear, showing details that should have been impossible to capture from such a distance. Admiral Zexalane studied the recordings with growing alarm. This level of sensor resolution requires technology centuries ahead of anything in known space. Not centuries ahead, Da-Yun corrected. Just different. While other civilizations focused on building bigger weapons and stronger shields, Earth chose to perfect the art of seeing without being seen. General Crix of the Stellar Commonwealth spoke up. If you have such advanced capabilities, why haven't you used them to gain military advantages? Why allow others to believe you're weak? Because strength without wisdom leads to destruction, Da-Un replied. Every civilization in this room has weapons capable of destroying planets. Some have weapons that can destroy stars. Adding more destructive capability to the galaxy seemed pointless. She paused, letting her words sink in before continuing. We chose a different path. Instead of building weapons to destroy, we built systems to understand. Our greatest strategic asset isn't our ability to wage war. It's our ability to prevent wars from starting. The displays changed again, showing a complex network of monitoring stations spread throughout the galaxy. Hundreds of installations were marked, many in locations where no one suspected human presence. This is our real military infrastructure, Da-Yun explained. Not weapons platforms or battle stations, but observation posts that can detect and track any military activity within 50 light years. Admiral Crix studied the network display with professional interest. These positions would give you advance warning of any major fleet movement in the galaxy. Advanced warning? Da-Yun smiled slightly. Admiral, we know about fleet movements before they happen. Our analysis algorithms can predict military deployments based on supply movements, communication patterns, and strategic planning cycles. To demonstrate, she activated a new display showing current fleet positions throughout the galaxy. For example, the hegemony has been gradually repositioning ships toward the Krellin border for the past 6 months. Based on supply movements and communication intercepts, we predict they will complete their deployment in 14 days. Admiral Zexalane's face went completely pale. The hegemony's plans for the Krellin systems were supposed to be absolute secrets, known only to the highest levels of command. The Stellar Commonwealth has been conducting secret negotiations with 3 minor powers about forming a defense alliance, Da-Un continued. Your treaty will be signed next month, despite official denials of any such discussions. This is impossible, Admiral Crix protested. Our diplomatic communications are encrypted with quantum-level security. Quantum encryption is excellent. Protection against conventional decryption attempts, Da-Un agreed. But it's much less effective when someone has been monitoring the entire communication network and can analyze patterns across millions of messages. The horror of Earth's capabilities was becoming clear to every delegate in the room. Humanity had not just been watching military activities, they had been analyzing everything. Communication patterns, supply movements, diplomatic negotiations, strategic planning, nothing had escaped their attention. You've been manipulating galactic politics for decades, accused Consul Varthek. We've never manipulated anything, Da-Yun replied firmly. We've simply observed and analyzed. Every decision made by every civilization has been their own choice, based on their own reasoning. But you knew the consequences of those decisions before they did, Admiral Zexalane pointed out. Often, yes. Which is why we're here today proposing a better system. General Wu Jin stepped forward to join Da-Un. Our analysis shows that the galaxy is approaching a crisis point. Too many civilizations with too many weapons, all competing for the same resources. The current system of balance through mutual threat is becoming unstable. He activated a projection showing multiple wargame scenarios. We've run thousands of simulations based on current political and military trends. In 73% of scenarios, the galaxy experiences major warfare within the next 50 years. In 31% of those scenarios, the warfare escalates to planet-killer weapon deployment. The numbers hung in the air like a death sentence. The alien delegates stared at the projections showing the destruction of entire star systems, the collapse of interstellar civilization, the deaths of trillions of beings. The mathematics are clear, Wu Jin continued. The current system is unsustainable. Either the galaxy finds a new way to maintain peace, or it destroys itself through escalating conflicts. Ambassador Yoon stepped back into the center of the discussion. This is why Earth proposes radical transparency. When everyone can see what everyone else is doing, trust becomes possible. When trust becomes possible, cooperation replaces competition. You're asking us to abandon thousands of years of military tradition, General Thakmor protested. We're asking you to evolve beyond it, Yoon replied. Every species in this room has achieved interstellar travel, quantum physics, artificial intelligence. You've mastered the greatest challenges of science and technology. Surely you can master the challenge of living together peacefully. Admiral, Da-Yoon activated one final display, showing real-time positions of every ship from every fleet in the galaxy. The sheer scope of military hardware was staggering. Thousands of warships, hundreds of thousands of weapons, enough destructive power to sterilize every inhabited world in known space. This is what the galaxy looks like right now, she said, quietly. Every species armed to the teeth, every civilization preparing for the wars they hope will never come, every government spending enormous resources on weapons they pray they'll never use. The display changed to show Earth's proposal. The same ships, but now part of a coordinated monitoring network where every movement was tracked and every intention was known. This is what the galaxy could look like, Da-Un continued. The same ships, the same crews, but serving to prevent conflicts instead of preparing for them. Exploration instead of intimidation, cooperation instead of competition. Admiral Krex studied the proposed network carefully. You're talking about the complete transformation of galactic civilization. We're talking about the survival of galactic civilization, Yoon corrected. The choice is simple: evolve or destroy yourselves. The alien delegates sat in stunned silence, processing the magnitude of what they had learned. Earth possessed technology that made every military secret vulnerable, analysis capabilities that could predict conflicts before they started, and a strategic vision that offered an alternative to endless escalation. What guarantees do we have? Admiral Zexlane asked finally. How do we know you won't use this technology to dominate other civilizations? Because domination requires the threat of force, Da-Un replied. Earth's military doctrine is based on prevention, not destruction. We have no interest in conquering other worlds when we can achieve peace through transparency. But you could conquer us if you wanted to, General Thakmor stated bluntly. Da-Un considered the question carefully before answering. In theory, our surveillance capabilities and predictive analysis give us significant strategic advantages. In practice, the atmosphere in the assembly hall had completely transformed. What began as a gathering where powerful civilizations planned to intimidate humanity had become something entirely different. The alien delegates who had dismissed Earth as weak and primitive now faced the reality that they had been observed, analyzed, and understood for decades without their knowledge. Ambassador Hai Wan stepped forward to address the stunned assembly. She was Earth's senior diplomatic strategist, a woman whose calm demeanor had been shaped by years of knowing secrets that could reshape galactic civilization. Honored delegates, she began, we understand that today's revelations have been shocking. You came here expecting to negotiate with a weak species that would accept whatever terms you offered. Instead, you've learned that Earth possesses capabilities that make conventional military thinking obsolete. General Thakmor shifted uncomfortably in his seat. His plans to demand territorial concessions from humanity seemed laughable now. How could he threaten a species that knew every detail of Vorthak military capabilities? The question now, Haiwan continued, is what we do with this knowledge. Earth could use our advantages to dominate galactic politics. We could blackmail civilizations with their own secrets, manipulate conflicts to our benefit, or simply announce ourselves as the galaxy's new rulers. The alien delegates tensed, waiting for the other shoe to drop. This was the moment when humanity would reveal their true intentions. But we won't do any of those things, Haiwan said simply, because domination through superior technology is just another form of the same failed system you've been using for thousands of years. Might makes right, whether the might comes from bigger weapons or better surveillance. Admiral Zexalane leaned forward. Then what do you want? We want you to choose evolution over extinction, Haiwan replied. We want you to join us in building something that has never existed in galactic history, a true and lasting peace. Director Jae Sung of Earth's Diplomatic Intelligence Division appeared as a new holographic projection. He was an older man with tired eyes who looked like he had spent too many years watching civilizations make the same mistakes over and over again. Let me explain the choice you face, he said. Option 1. Return to the old system. Continue building bigger weapons, forming shifting alliances, and preparing for wars that grow more destructive with each generation. Our analysis gives this path a 12% chance of avoiding galactic-scale catastrophe within the next century. The odds hung in the air like a death sentence. 12% chance of survival. Option 2. Accept Earth's proposal for mutual transparency. Join a monitoring system where every military movement is tracked, every weapon development is shared, and every potential conflict is identified before it can escalate. Our models give this path a 94% chance of maintaining galactic stability for the next 1,000 years. The contrast was stark. Continue the old ways and face almost certain destruction, or embrace transparency and achieve lasting peace. Admiral Krex of the Stellar Commonwealth was the first to speak. Your numbers assume perfect compliance with the monitoring system. What happens when someone inevitably tries to cheat? Cheating becomes impossible, Jae Sung replied. Our surveillance network can detect a single ship changing course from 50 light-years away. Any attempt to hide military activities would be identified within hours. And then what? General Thakmore demanded. Do you destroy those who violate the agreement? We expose them, Haiwan answered. Perfect transparency means perfect accountability. Any civilization that attempts to secretly build weapons or plan attacks would be immediately known to everyone. Else, peer pressure becomes more effective than military pressure. The concept was revolutionary. Instead of preventing war through the threat of retaliation, Earth proposed preventing war by making secret preparation impossible. Consider the practical implications, Director Jae Sung continued. How do you start a war when your enemy knows exactly where all your ships are? How do you launch a surprise attack when everyone can see you coming? How do you build secret weapons when every component is being tracked? Consul Varthek of the Vorthak Empire struggled with the implications. You're describing the end of military strategy as we know it. We're describing the evolution of military strategy, Admiral Da Yun corrected, her image still projected beside the others. Instead of planning how to destroy enemies, military leaders would focus on preventing conflicts and protecting civilian populations. Our own military has already made this transition, added General Wu Jin. Earth's armed forces exist to gather information, prevent conflicts, and coordinate rescue operations. We haven't fired a shot in anger for over 30 years. Admiral Zexalane studied the Earth representatives with growing understanding. This is why you never bring military personnel to peace conferences. Your military's job is to ensure that peace conferences aren't necessary. Exactly, Haiwan confirmed. When you can see conflicts developing months or years in advance, you can address their root causes before they escalate to violence. The alien delegates began to grasp the full scope of Earth's vision. Humanity wasn't offering just a new treaty or alliance. They were proposing a fundamental transformation of how galactic civilization operated. The transition would be gradual, Jae-sung explained. We're not asking anyone to immediately disarm or abandon their defensive capabilities. The monitoring system would be implemented in phases, with voluntary participation at first. What about species that refuse to participate? Asked Admiral Krex. They would be isolated, Hae-won replied honestly. A civilization that insists on military secrecy, in an age of perfect transparency, would be viewed with suspicion by everyone else. Economic and diplomatic pressure would eventually force compliance. General Thakmore considered this. You're creating a system where peaceful cooperation is the only viable option. We're creating a system where peaceful cooperation is the most profitable option, Hae-won corrected. Civilizations that embrace transparency will benefit from shared technology, expanded trade, and cooperative exploration. Those that cling to secrecy will find themselves increasingly isolated and irrelevant. The debate continued for hours as alien leaders grappled with the implications of Earth's proposal. Some argued that military secrecy was essential for national security. Others worried about the loss of strategic flexibility. A few questioned whether any species could be trusted with such comprehensive surveillance capabilities. But gradually, the logic of Earth's position became undeniable. The galaxy was heading toward catastrophic warfare under the current system. Mutual transparency offered the only realistic path to long-term survival. Admiral Krex was the first to formally endorse the proposal. The Stellar Commonwealth agrees to participate in the monitoring system, he announced. Our survival depends on evolution, not destruction. One by one, other civilizations followed. The hegemony agreed after securing guarantees about data security. Smaller powers embraced the system as protection against larger neighbors. Even the Vorthak Empire eventually agreed, recognizing that their military advantages were meaningless in an age of perfect surveillance. By the end of the conference, 81 of the 83 participating civilizations had agreed to implement Earth's transparency protocol. The two holdouts were minor powers with limited military capabilities who would be forced to comply through economic pressure within years. As the alien delegations prepared to leave Nexus Prime Station, the mood was completely different from when they had arrived. Instead of displaying military might, they were discussing cooperation. Instead of making territorial demands, they were planning joint exploration missions. Ambassador Su Jin stood at the observation deck watching the alien fleets disperse. Unlike their aggressive arrival formation, the ships now traveled in mixed groups, with vessels from different civilizations flying together as symbols of their new partnership. It worked, said Minho, joining her at the viewing port. The easy part worked, Sujin corrected. Now comes the hard part, making it permanent. She activated a communication link to Earth, where the monitoring network was already being expanded to accommodate data from dozens of alien civilizations. Real-time. Displays showed ship positions throughout the galaxy, all transparent and visible to anyone with access to the system. Status report, she requested. The reply came from Admiral Dae-yun, speaking from Earth's Strategic Command Center. All major fleets are dispersing peacefully, no aggressive movements detected. The Vorthak have already shared their ship deployment. Schedules for the next 6 months. Compliance rates? 100% so far. Every participating civilization is transmitting location data and military status reports as agreed. Sujin smiled with satisfaction. And our own forces? Maintaining standard surveillance operations. The difference is that now everyone knows. We're watching. The irony was perfect. Earth's military had always been present at peace conferences, invisible, silent, and always watching. The only thing that had changed was that other civilizations now knew the truth. Admiral, Sujin said quietly, what do you think will happen next? Something that's never happened before in galactic history, Da-Un replied. Peace through knowledge instead of peace through fear.